Hey everybody, it's Adam here once again with One Man's Perspective. Topic I want to talk about today, and I just really kind of want to gauge interest from all of you, is whether there is a need to have a discussion about equality in football. I personally think there needs to be a discussion about it, partially because the U.S. women's national team over the past few years has been engaged in a battle with the Football Federation in the United States regarding equality of pay. And essentially equality of resources going to female soccer, in this case, in the United States, female football, compared to their male counterparts. This is a discussion I think needs to be had. I mean, this goes along to a much more greater societal discussion that has been going on, I think, really for many, many years, really since, the rise of feminism in the 60s here in the United States and worldwide, but also that has really sparked from the Me Too movement and everything else that has been going on, that has essentially given much more of a voice, I think, to those who have been voiceless for so long or who have been denied their voice in societal change. But women, are coming to the forefront much harder and much stronger and much faster than previously before. And I think that that's something that can only be a wonderful and great thing for humanity in and of itself. But as it relates to athletes and athletics, female sports just have continued to not get enough support, enough coverage, enough allyship, essentially, from their male counterparts, but in also a male-dominated administrative roles within all of these football associations and football organizations. My question is why? They're incredible athletes. They have incredible skill sets that are just as good, if not better, than some of their male counterparts. And in all honesty, they deserve to be funded on an equal level, which they are nowhere near funded on an equal level within the club game as well as a national team game. As well as they need to have the resources, I think, to develop youth. To develop into much greater professional players throughout the years and build in their development, which unfortunately is so centered on male-specific football all throughout the world. I mean, clubs, I think, around Europe have become a little bit more visible in their support of the women's game over the last 5 to 10 years. I think that's really important. But at the same time, they are also very much still in their infancy for a lot of these teams. I really think that, honestly, the national teams have also been way behind the curve here. And honestly, I think really it's something that needs to be addressed and needs to be brought up. And I think, honestly, the U.S. women's national team kind of shed a spotlight on, the lack of equality within the game. And I think that's an important thing that we should support and support their lawsuit, support their right to be treated equally and compensated fairly and on an equal status as their male counterparts. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. For the U.S. women's national team, for instance, I believe they are 4-time World Cup winners, whereas the men's national team has never made it past the round of 16 in a World Cup. So, to me, they're a hugely successful team. I personally really enjoy watching the Women's World Cup, and I think the U.S. women's national team is a phenomenal team, as are so many of the other national teams. But they don't get enough credit. They don't get enough support. They don't get enough coverage. And that's really what it boils down to is why in society do we feel the need to support men so much more heavily than we support women? I mean, honestly, the clearest answer is the fact that we live in a patriarchal society. Is that a positive thing? I don't think so. I think it leads to a lot of conflict, a lot of wars, a lot of bravado that essentially leads to negative impacts on society. Do I think, having more of a feminine approach to world politics, to sport, to, societal engagement would be a better thing? Yeah, I do. But I mean, that's another topic we can get to at a later date. My question to you fans is, do you support both the women's game and the men's game? And if you do, I'd love to hear from you in the comments here. I'd love to understand why you support both. Or honestly, for those who only support the men's game, I would like to understand why you only support the men's game, and not the women's game. Because to me, they should be treated equally. They should be granted the coverage equally, so that we can truly engage with the fact that women's football or soccer in the United States is growing, but is also something that should be rewarded with support. And I'm talking financially. I'm talking viewership. I'm talking sponsorship. Essentially, all of these things that are so predominantly given to male athletics in general, and in this case, we're talking about football and soccer, without question. It's always given to the men without question. But I think we really need to address why there's a lack of equality, why there is a disconnect between the men and women's games. And I really think that we need to support the women's game to help it grow and help it develop onto a much larger and grander scale than it is currently. That said, again, I really want to hear from you all and understand why you support or don't support, women's equality within the game of football, and why you support one or the other or both. So please, if you are interested in this topic, please get back to me. I'd love to hear it from the comments. I'd love to see you all subscribe so we can talk more about this. But please, let's focus on the women's game. Let's be more positive. Let's give them the support they need, because in reality, they are incredible athletes who deserve our support. That's all I got today, guys.